Kinda Funny Tim, Nick, Kevin, Andy, Blessing. Best friends win.
What's up and welcome to Kinda Funny's Mortal Kombat in Review. That's right, we are ranking and reviewing every theatrically released Mortal Kombat movie. As always, I'm Tim Gettys, joined by the Nitro Rifle, Andy Cortez.
What's going on, gamers?
The big dog, Kevin Coelho.
How long do you think he keeps it on?
Good question.
Sorry.
Just keep going.
Over my head.
You got this.
Gotcha.
Don't worry about it.
There we go. I didn't even see it.
I was like, you'll get it in a second. It'll be there.
Yeah,
The new face of video games, Blessing Adeoye Jr., who, for audio listeners, is in fact in a scorpion mask. I think. I don't even know what the fuck that is.
It looks like a gold
reptile,
like a gold scorpion mask. Yeah, it's gorgeous.
I'm not keeping this on for long because it is fucking.
It looks
like
painful.
And you don't
honestly,
sound good.
It hurts a little bit. Yeah, and it's like fucking. It's
I feel like the edges of the plastic like dig into your skin.
Here's the thing, I don't even think this is plastic. I don't know what material this is, but it is fucking hard ass material.
I was looking at my doc. I did not even see Blessing at all. That is so freaking funny. And of course, we have the producer / seducer, Nick Scarpino.
It's amazing. Did you mean to match that to your hoodie as well? Because you look like.
I did.
Yeah,
okay, you look like solid gold right now, and it's amazing.
Thank you.
The little wrist bits matching the mask are fantastic. This
Yeah,
looks,
I know it's perfect.
I feel like Bless looks like a celebrity right now that wore this so that paparazzi don't get a good photo. But I also feel like he's the nerdiest fucking fighter in the Mortal Kombat universe.
Yeah. No, you know what it looks like? It looks like one of those masks that like people wear to simulate high altitude training.
Yeah.
Like to like,
yeah.
get the oxygen, like the oxygen mask that you wear in the gym, and you know those dudes are like, you don't talk to those guys.
No.
Yeah,
You
those
don't
are always the
talk
ones
to
that are
those
like
You don't talk to those
punching
guys.
things way harder than they should.
Yeah,
This
they're,
mask
like,
was
really
definitely
loud.
This mask was definitely not made to be worn. I'll tell you right now. Like,
Did it come with the collector's edition? Is that what it is?
Okay.
no, Kevin sent it to me. He was like, "Hey, it'd be a
okay.
fun bit to dress up in masks for in review." And I thought everybody was gonna do it. I thought Kevin said, for some reason, I thought Kevin was gonna send them to everybody.
Welcome,
would all
welcome
play
to
different
Kevin's
characters.
world. No.
But I guess I'm the only one that got a mask.
I love it. I love
Well,
it.
I'm wearing a
much.
Johnny Cage mask right now. So
That's great.
Oh,
You're nailing
seriously.
it.
Yeah,
It's
you're
real
killing
damn
it.
good. You look exactly like the guy from this movie. I want to give a major shout out, as always, to Carter Harrell and Cameron Kennedy for one of my favorite in-review intros of all time. That thing is utterly fantastic. Carter
gotta
did
get
all
their,
the music, and it's his voice saying all the names and stuff, and Cameron Kennedy destroying. This is the first time I've been telling him, I'm like, yo, if you ever need us to do custom shit for you, just let us know and we'll make it happen. And this is the first time he's like, all right, I need some footage of you guys like bouncing around like idiots. And he made that shit hot.
It looks
was
so
fun.
good. I was gonna say, I think we need to get their names in the YouTube info. I think that's one thing that some people always mention. You know, who are the people that make them? Like, put their Twitter names in here, and we should do that because you all need to hire them to make your shit as well. Because they're amazing.
100%. The most talented motherfuckers in the West and East, North, South. They're working on it.
One's in Canada.
So you could watch this show in review every week, twice a week, where we rank and review different movie franchises. Right now, we are doing Mortal Kombat in review, and this week we are closing out the Godzilla Monsterverse with Godzilla vs. Kong. Very excited about that. And then next week we will return with a little bit of that Pixar in review with Finding Nemo, if I remember correctly, and that leads also into another Mortal Kombat in review with Annihilation. So get excited about that. You can watch it on youtube.com/kindafunny or roosterteeth.com. If you want to listen to it as a podcast, just search your favorite podcast service for Kinda Funny Reviews. If you want to get the show ad-free and watch live as we record it, and of course you want to do that, you can go to patreon.com/kindafunny, just like the nanobiologist and Sven McHale did. Thank both of you so very, very much. Today we're brought to you by BetterHelp and HelloFresh, but I will tell you about that later. I want to get right into it. Today we are talking about Mortal Kombat, a runtime of 1 hour and 41 minutes, rated PG-13. The original screenplay for this film was more faithful to the game in that it had graphic violence and strong language, making it an R-rated script. However, the deal that the producers had with New Line Cinema included that they deliver a PG-13 movie to keep it accessible to the target audience, which was mostly teenagers. It was released August 18th, 1995. The director said in an interview fairly recently that if you look back at Mortal Kombat, it was the first time those big Chinese wire gags were used in a Western movie. Obviously, The Matrix did that to the nth degree several years later, but at the time, Mortal Kombat was very cutting edge, which is something that's rough for us to look back now when we watch this movie, but when you start to think about it in context of the time, it's like, okay, they were doing some things.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know that I buy that 100%, that anything in this movie was cutting edge for the time in which it came out, but we'll just say, okay.
Like
Dude,
Reptile
Goro, man.
looked cool back then.
Goro was the first Thanos.
Well, what's funny is Goro worked as like an animatronic sort of puppet thing. They kind of shot around it and they didn't let him move too much. Yeah,
Oh,
it was
no,
like
it worked. It looked like a dude with a little dude sitting on his shoulders that they did an okay job of making it look.
When they
it
lose
was-
on it, it was bad.
But when Shang Tsung goes, Reptile, make sure you watch her, and that thing comes to life, and it is like 3 polygons. It is it's like a bad N64 game. You're like, why would they do this?
It looks like the first pass at CG before they fully get all the
previs,
all the rendering and shadows and textures and everything. It just pops out in such a weird way that it doesn't. You got to kind of color correct it and make it look like it's in that world.
Yeah,
This thing was just like
they didn't bother
It was
doing
cutting
that
edge.
at all.
They hadn't figured that out yet. Yeah.
cutting edge. You're
When
right, cutting
Raiden
edge.
disappeared into lightning to teleport wherever he was going, and the effect legit looked like bad YouTube After Effects, I was like, "Oh snap! This must have." I don't like. It's hard for me to put myself back at that time because I wasn't really watching movies in 1995 because I was 1 year old. But I can't imagine that people were watching that in theater and going, "Fuck, man, this is the future."
No, what we did, I saw this movie in the theaters, and I remember thinking that looks bad. That's all looks bad. But I'll tell you one thing right now, and we'll when we get to the plot, I'll let you know. But I enjoyed the shit out of this movie the first time I saw it, and that has not fucking changed. I love this movie.
So this is directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. Today, he's best known for being the creative voice behind the Resident Evil film series from 2002 to 2016, which stars his eventual wife, which I did not know. Mila Jovovich. And is based on the Capcom video game series of the same name. The series consists of 6 films. He directed 4 of them. Other notable films of Anderson's are Event Horizon in 1997.
I like that movie.
Which was a critical and commercial disappointment, but found renewed appreciation when it hit home video. And he also did Alien vs. Predator. And
The first one. Interesting.
He did the first one, and he also did Death Race. If you remember Death Race,
I
it was
do. I liked
essentially
Death
Twisted
Race.
Metal, but
That was the Jason Statham one, right? Mm-hmm. I like that movie. That was actually a fun one.
this movie had music by George Clinton. Clinton's most recognizable scores include the Austin Power franchise and the Mortal Kombat franchise and the Santa Claus series. So this guy, only bangers, only
Put some
hits.
respect on the name.
Did you know
100%.
that the Santa Claus is named the Santa Claus not because he's playing Santa Claus, but because it's the Santa
It's a clause.
Clause.
Yeah, it's a clause, like legally.
Clause in the contract.
We're gonna get there. Blessing 15 years from now, we're gonna do Santa Claus in review.
I can't wait.
It's gonna be great.
Those fucking movies.
Whether
I
or
never
not
saw
you're at the
third
company
one.
anymore, Bless, we're gonna have you pop in for just that fun fact. And all right, later, Bless.
Please.
See you later.
The music was by George Clinton. Like I said, he did that stuff. But what's key about this is the soundtrack album for this movie went platinum in less than a year. It was number 10 on the Billboard 200 for many, many weeks. It also made history as the first EDM record to receive platinum certification in the United States, mainly due to the theme song, which is called Techno Syndrome by the Immortals.
KMFDM.
How
KMFDM was
awesome.
all over that soundtrack, man. Good lord. I have. Of
Banger
course I
after
had.
banger.
Of course I owned
Of
that
course,
soundtrack.
of course, man.
Of course, I
God, they
bought
got
that
it
shit
down.
at Best Buy. My brother and I would recreate the fight scenes with the music playing on the shitty boombox that, like, you know, the old boomboxes that just don't look like they were made by a human being. It was just like weird
yeah.
plastic shapes.
God,
They look so
the
cool,
90s
though.
were such a
There
weird
was that,
time.
for some reason, they were like, this boombox has to be aerodynamic.
Like what?
You can go faster. Like, where's it going?
Yeah, that's the thing. We make fun of Alienware computers a lot, like especially like early 2000s ones. But like, I don't think we talk about 90s boom boxes enough.
Yeah.
Because like, you're right, Andy. There is a
we
look to
don't.
those.
There was an
things.
aesthetic. Yeah.
a choice. This had a budget of $18 million, and Mortal Kombat spent 3 weeks as the #1 film at the U.S. box office, earning over $124 million worldwide. Yeah, let's start off. Andy, what'd you think about Mortal Kombat?
It is just real bad, but so much fun. Like, because I'm laughing a lot, and I know what's gonna happen. Let's get this out of the way. All right, listeners out there, you're gonna say you love this movie, but you hate this and that movie. That always happens. It's the Nick Scarpino 3-finger scale. Is it good? Is it bad, or bad? And this is a bad good movie for
It's
me.
right in the middle.
It's a good bad movie for me, rather. I think it's just it's put together in such a odd way. We're just going from fight scene to fight scene with no rhyme or reason. No, like there's fight scenes where it's like, where was Johnny Cage during the reptile fight? Who gives a shit? Like,
Yeah.
they're just
How
whole
did Johnny
island
Cage
is the
get back from
battlefield now.
Scorpion's place?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's just a lot of nonsense and terrible writing and a bunch of one-liners that they try to make cute. It's a terrible movie, and I had so much fun, and I was just filled with nostalgia from front to end. Every musical cue, every line, it was all in my head. I've seen this movie so many damn times, and this final sequence with Shang Tsung and Liu Kang, where it's the bum 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 bum. I fucking had that in my. I was like, oh, I know that every fucking beat of this is just dug into my brain. So I had an absolute blast watching it again. It is terrible, and it's so much fun.
Kev.
Man, I often talk about how bad movies that are good. I hate that genre of movies, but I think this is one of the first few times where it's man, I love this movie, and I know it's terrible, and that's part of these people were trying simultaneously as hard as possible and not at all. And it's just so impressive that they were able to pull it off to the degree that they did. And it's just, it's a lot better than I remember. Is it a terrible movie by every realistic scale? Yeah, but I like it.
Blessing.
I had such a great time with this. This is my second time watching this Mortal Kombat movie, but the first time watching it was so long ago that I barely remembered anything. The main things I remembered were pretty much the core characters that were included, and then also the fact that the whole movie takes place pretty much on Shang Tsung's island, and they do the tournament and all that shit. But that was pretty much the extent of what I remembered. And so going back to it, I was blown away by how much fun I had watching this movie, despite it being obviously bad. There's so many things where I'm this either looks bad or doesn't make sense. Liu Kang doing his bicycle kick and it looking so terrible, him floating in midair and then hitting Reptile and Reptile doing fucking backflips out of a window, and then him exploding into a bunch of bugs. That shit didn't make any sense whatsoever, but it was fantastic because this is one of the, I think, few times where I guess being a video game movie really enhanced what the movie was, because for me, as somebody who loves Mortal Kombat so much, going into it, it was so fun seeing them reference certain things. It was fun seeing them it's fun seeing this movie that came out in '95, and I forget what the latest Mortal Kombat game would have been before this movie came out. But obviously this was still,
I think it was 2.
Yeah, it had to be either 2
I
or
got
3.
some facts for you. I'll get into
All right,
later
cool.
about that stuff.
But obviously, this is still before Mortal Kombat 4, I would imagine, and definitely before the Deception games and stuff that came out after that. And so they're obviously interpreting certain things certain way. Raiden threw me off so much. I was not expecting Raiden to sound or look the way he sounds and looks. He sounds so the whole movie. I'm why is he talking this way? This man is supposed to be the god of thunder. And
What
he feels
accent are you doing?
Yeah, it's where are you from, my guy? And so Raiden's hilarious. And the effects were bad. But just all the references and all that stuff are just so fun to keep with. Shang Tsung saying "finish him" a billion times was fun.
So many times.
I forgot what the thing was. I was gonna reference the thing. Overall, it was it not being rated R, such a fucking loss for this movie, because you can tell that they tried their hardest. There was a scene where Goro is holding up the black dude. I think is Jax, but I think they only said his name once,
No,
and so I'm not
no.
sure if he was Jax.
That was
It's Jax
R.
the beginning.
That's not Jax.
That's Art
No.
Lean. And
In
then
the
later.
beginning, that's a different guy from that he's talking about. Though.
That was a different guy than
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
His first in my head, I was like, "Oh snap, he's gonna rip his arm," because he was holding up, and I was like, "He's gonna rip his
Exactly.
arms off, and that's gonna be a thing." And nope, he just bumped him, and I was like, "Fuck, man, why
No,
couldn't
yeah.
this movie be rated R?"
There's a scene in the beginning where Johnny Cage sees him and he's like, "Oh, you're Art so and so. You fought in over there. I saw you kick ass." So he's just there to get destroyed
Fodder,
by
yeah.
Goro with kind of a backhand, like
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
and like
It's
I
just
know
weird. Like, why have a character that's not from the games? Like, why make
Yeah.
a new character
Yeah.
that's going to be part of the fighting when you have
Dude,
a roster?
that
you
could have
don't-
just been Jax.
You don't understand. They didn't want to burn all the good fighters because they knew this one was going to be such a hit. They were going to be asked to make Mortal Kombat 2 the next year. The return of Jax. So they had to do that.
So yeah, like two more things to touch on so I can wrap up is one, all the references they were making to the Emperor and like Katana being the adopted Emperor's daughter and all this shit. For me as a Mortal Kombat fan, I was like, fuck man. I've never seen Mortal Kombat Annihilation, which I'm excited to watch next week, even though I know it's not good. But like them making all those references, I was like, fuck, they're talking about Shao Kahn right now. And like Katana is my main in the game, so I was like, oh, let's fucking go. Like I can't wait to get there. And by the time like you get there, I was like, okay, they're obviously building up to the second movie. And so that was really cool. And then also the actual martial arts in the movie, obviously hit and miss, but the times it hit, I thought it really hit. Where you get to one of the first fights on the island, and it's just some dude versus Sub-Zero, and he starts off doing like all his fucking martial arts moves just I guess to the air, shadow boxing. And that shit I thought was super fun, super cool. I was super into that. And then like obviously Sub-Zero gets the flawless victory. Shit like that makes this movie work. But yeah, like everything else makes this a terrible movie, which is hilarious because I just had such a good time with it regardless.
Nick.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you guys. This movie hits on what I would call the cult classic status, right? Where you don't know why, it doesn't make any sense, but for some reason, it's just so fun to watch. And it does crest that line that everyone's talking about, where you're like, it's not a good movie. If you go through the ones and zeros of this movie, it does not add up to something that's good. But it's got something extra that you can't quite put your finger on. And it's an enjoyment factor that, I mean, I did not expect to have this. I was dreading this last night. And then it started. And from that first drop, I was like, shit. I didn't know I was fucking with. This is Mortal Kombat. You didn't remember this?
Get your mind right, Nick.
Yeah, get your fucking head on straight. And so yeah, I loved every the second of this movie. It's so ridiculous and so many poor choices, but for some reason I'll add up to a good time. Oh god, Christopher Lambert is a French actor who was in Highlander, and they were like, yeah. That guy should be rated.
How do you spell rated with a Y? With a Y? Why?
Yeah, I
You
noticed
spell
that
it.
too.
It's so
I noticed.
bizarre.
What, did you all watch on Vudu? Because I watched on the Microsoft Store.
Yeah,
I,
I
like,
I
rented-
watched on Voodoo.
Okay, I was wondering if it was maybe just Microsoft stores had the wrong spelling or whatever. It's time for Mortal Kombat.
Dude, but you guys, you're all nailing it. I don't have too much to add that's new because, yeah, this movie is just so stupid. It's so bad, but it's so fun. And it's choices like that. Like when you see him the first time, you're like, there's no way this is the choice they made. And then an hour and 30 minutes later, you're just like, man, I could watch so much more of this, but I'm happy I don't need to. I'm happy that this movie is as short as it is, did all the things that it did. The one mega shout out I want to give to it is obviously the production of this looks horrible. And we look at it now and it's like, oh, it looks like YouTube Action Essentials VFX and like some even worse when it comes to the CG and the choices they make. But there's just a look to early 90s movie, late 80s and early 90s movies that are like from the set design perspective. That's where the money's going. And it's like, I look at it and I'm like, oh, we could make a Mortal Kombat movie that is better than this. It's like, we can't because we don't have the fucking set design that gives it that world. And it's the same thoughts I have about the Super Mario Brothers movie where that thing is a fucking train wreck. But the Neo Brooklyn that they got going on looks awesome. And it's like, it allows them to just make these weird choices. And this movie does it so much. And every time they're in a set piece to fight, it's just so perfectly crafted to be dumb as fuck. Like even in the beginning when they're on the boat and there's just an insane amount of smoke around them.
Yeah.
Like,
So much
it is just
fog.
The most
The fog
fog.
machine's
And it's
crazy.
just like, the whole thing feels like a fever dream in a rave where someone got way too high on drugs that they don't even know what they are. And all of a sudden they're invited to this island to fucking fight to the death, kind of. Like, for a plot that is this basic and this clear and concise, it's really confusing too.
Yeah.
And like, what the fuck are they actually doing? What are the rules of this tournament? Like, when are you allowed to fight? When are you not allowed to fight?
Why does he fight Katana, Princess Katana? And why when she loses, does Shang Tsung not get her soul? I don't understand.
The thing I hate about this movie the most is the scene where he fights Katana, or he fights Katana, and Katana's like, use the element.
Oh my god!
Associated with life or whatever. And she whispers. She
hears it. And he's just like, hey, no
water.
Yeah, like. In your next fight, use the element associated with life.
Which brings life.
Just say water. Just say water. You're whispering it.
Like one. First of all, how'd you know he was gonna be fighting Sub-Zero? But regardless of that, when he was why the fuck did you know that was gonna be the solution? Because the actual way that comes into play is him. I guess throwing a bucket or whatever.
Raiden brings the buckets in and drops them off, and looks at the camera like, "Hey, you figured it out?" And walks out.
And like he throws the bucket at Sub-Zero, as Sub-Zero has like this, I guess, frozen force field around him, and that turns into a spike that impales Sub-Zero. That made fucking zero sense, especially in the way that she said it in the way before, and the way he internalized it. That made zero sense. That was the most bullshit I've ever seen in a movie, but also it was hilarious. But so I guess I got that out of it.
It was totally worth it, Bless, because there was nothing better than seeing her just kind of walk through the doorway. First off, who's judging these fights? Like, who? Like, is there?
Where's the ref?
Exactly.
These went down.
Was she backstage, or what's the deal there? How did she get into this
I don't
area?
understand why she's allowed to be. I guess she's a representative from like the others. I don't know. I don't understand what her character's position in this organization is. Is she like a commissioner level? Like where's she?
I mean, in the lore of Mortal Kombat, she's like the daughter of Shao Kahn. She's like a Denian, and so like. I guess theoretically, like she should be of her own side, right? Like if you should have Outworld and Shang Tsung and whatever the fuck he's doing. You should have the Earth realm, who are like the good people who are here to fight for Earth, and then you also should have like other factions from other realms. And Danny is kind of its own thing. Okay. I don't understand her role in this film. Like you're absolutely right. They don't really define it well because it's confusing whose side she's playing for.
Well, on top of that, like the funniest thing about this movie from a character perspective is we're talking the early 90s with this, where Mortal Kombat was one of the most popular things in the fucking world because of the violence, because it was in the news for all of the,
Dude, I was like scared of Mortal Kombat. Stuff. I was a Street Fighter guy, and when people would play Mortal Kombat, I was like, I'm not fucking with those guys.
That's hilarious. But it's like you couldn't go to elementary school in the 90s without at least 4 people on Halloween being Sub-Zero or Scorpion or whatever colored variant they could find at their knockoff store.
Cool, dude.
Oh, absolutely.
They were dope.
But that's the funniest thing is these characters, like Sub-Zero and Scorpion, undeniably the 2 characters people associate with Mortal Kombat the most. And they're the ones that are given the least like lore accurate portrayals in this movie. They're literally just like, they look cool, so they need to be in here. They're just going to be here under mind control. Is that what they said? Like, they're just the minions. Okay, sure. Let's have them have a couple fight scenes. Like, I love that because it's just the dumbest decision they could have made.
It very much felt like they were like, "Hey, here's a bunch of characters. We're not gonna fuck with whatever their stories are. It's just us trying to figure out how to put these characters together." And for Scorpion and Sub-Zero, like that's the thing about Mortal Kombat 2 is that Mortal Kombat has weirdly deep lore when you get into it, right? Like you have the Earth Warriors, you have like Scorpion who fights with the Shirai Ryu, you have Sub-Zero, but then also in like the later Mortal Kombat stuff, like the original Sub-Zero ended up being Noob, and there's a new Sub-Zero who's actually Sub-Zero, and then like when it comes to connecting all these different stories together in movie form, it probably gets really difficult. And back then, way less lore, and so they probably could have figured it out. But
there was very, very little lore at this point. So Mortal Kombat 3 came out earlier the year that this came out. So this didn't have anything to do with that. Annihilation is kind of an adaptation of the Mortal Kombat 3 story. But going off this, it was just Mortal Kombat 1 and 2. And it's definitely more based on 2 than anything. Like there's actually, they worked with the Midway, the creators of the game. So there's certain things like Shao Tsung being like, your soul is mine. Like, that was from this movie, but then was put into the game. So that kind of became the movie created like the canon for like the way Kano talks Like that's from the movie, and like
Yeah.
certain things. So that's pretty funny.
And
but
now he's just Australian. Yeah, I love that
Yeah,
Kano's just an
yeah.
Australian dude.
I mean,
straight up.
Shang Tsung is still like I think Shang Tsung from this movie is still like the go-to version of Shang Tsung.
Are you fucking kidding me? The actor is incredible. What's his name here?
Yeah.
Kari Hiroyuki Tagawa, who is also who, Andy? Johnny Tsunami. This motherfucker is Johnny Tsunami
the dad.
himself, the grandpa.
Wait, the grandpa. That's right.
The
Hey,
OG
Bono.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm
Hey,
like, you're
Bono.
one of the dopest actors to ever fucking exist. And he just destroys this role. Like he's
Oh,
so
yeah.
good as this guy.
What's amazing is you guys have heard me gush about one of the what I would consider, and I think you guys would agree, best comedies ever made, Balls of Fury. He reprises this role in that movie, basically, as the person who goes around and recruits everyone to the tournament, but instead of it being Mortal Kombat, it's ping pong to the death. It's a great fucking
I love that.
I love Balls of Fury.
It's so good.
If we do an interview
It's
of that,
so
I want to
good.
be on it.
Oh fuck, it's so
It's just
good.
one movie.
Exactly.
It'll be fast.
Some facts I want to get through with you guys. The game-related stuff here. Although the events of the film are primarily based on the events of Mortal Kombat 1, it features some notable elements from 2. Katana was introduced in the second game, where Reptile's reptilian nature was also first demonstrated. He was also only seen in human form in the first Mortal Kombat game. After defeating Scorpion, Johnny Cage drops an autographed picture of himself. This is a reference to his friendship move. Liu Kang uses his bicycle kick match against Reptile. The Shadow Priest, seen before the final battle, were first seen in Mortal Kombat 2 as part of the backgrounds. Sonya Blade is held captive and chained in Shang Tsung's tower, similar to how she was chained to pillars in Shang Kahn's arena in Mortal Kombat 2. Sub-Zero's ice grenade, which he uses in the demonstration and now for a taste of things to come, is a fatality in the second game, and a special move is referenced when he freezes the water that Liu Kang spills on the floor. When Johnny Cage kills Scorpion, he uses his shield with serrated edges to slice through his skin to a PG-13 degree, which is a reference to Kung Lao's blade-rimmed hat and his associated fatalities. In terms of casting,
I was surprised there was no Kung Lao. I didn't realize that he wasn't in this movie. I thought that was kind of weird.
yeah,
He was in part 3. He wasn't in part 2, I don't think.
Okay.
of the game.
Of the game, yeah.
Oh, you know what? I think you're right. That actually makes sense.
So then some casting stuff. Cameron Diaz was originally cast as Sonya Blade, but she dropped out because she had a wrist injury, so she couldn't fight.
No, he was definitely in
and-
part 2. My bad. He was definitely in part 2.
That worked out for her.
But he wasn't in part one. Like it seems like the cast of the movie is very much based on one.
Ernie Reyes Jr. Nick was
Oh,
at
I
one point
fucking love
considered
him.
for the role of Liu Kang, who is Kino from Ninja Turtles 2: Secret of the
Yeah,
Ooze.
he would have been good.
Oh, nice.
I be honest with you, I do like that. I forget the actor's name that ended up being Liu Kang, but I like him a lot. I think he did a great job in this, and I'm not just basing that purely on his hair because his hair is fucking
hair is glorious.
It's
amazing in
everything.
this.
Nick, who do you think was considered for the role of Johnny Cage?
Oh, Johnny Cage.
I'm going to go
I
with
don't
Keanu
know.
Reeves.
Oh
No,
wow,
It's that level, though. It's that type.
Patrick Swayze.
We're talking early 90s.
I mean,
Robert Downey Jr.
no,
No.
Robert Downey Jr. was deep into his alcoholism in the early 90s.
There's two of them.
Two of them. The Winklevoss brothers?
Tom Cruise,
Okay.
and
Or
Johnny
Val
Depp.
Kilmer? Oh, wow. Johnny Depp. Yeah, by the way, this was a New Line Cinema movie. You can't afford either of those actors. You're not getting Tom Cruise to be your fucking movie in 1995. It was like Tom Cruise was doing like The Firm in 1995. He was winning Academy Awards. He's not doing the movie.
They then approached another actor who turned them down because he wanted to do the Street Fighter movie instead. That man,
Van Damme.
Jean-Claude
Jean-Claude
Van
Van
Damme,
Damme.
who
So
Johnny
you
Cage
can't-
was originally based on.
Really? That's surprising because Johnny Cage just feels like he's so like 100% all-American, and Jean-Claude Van Damme is very,
The
very
muscles from
Belgian.
Brussels.
Yeah, he's from Brussels. But hey,
Ed Boon, the creator of Mortal Kombat, was the voice of Scorpion in this.
very cool.
And a fun little fact for you, Nick, that Sub-Zero, the actor Francois Petit, was the highest-ranking martial artist on set.
Oh,
Very cool.
That's cool.
That's
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. So they better
I feel like
fucking
you guys-
respect him.
Dialing it back to the idea where you guys were like, this movie doesn't kind of throws out a lot of the lore and doesn't really do the source material justice. I feel like the one thing you guys are missing in that is that it was 1995. And that was every video game movie in 1995. Unlike now, where they nail it 100% of the time with video games to movies, and you never get a miss. In 1995, blessing, they didn't respect video games like they do now. They went like this. It's gonna be. We'll just call it Mortal Kombat. It doesn't have to be anything close to the source material. Just put it out, and dumb shit kids who are 15 years old with their friend Ryan Creasy will go see it in the Moreno Valley theaters and then have their fucking ears blown out because it's so loud. What? I'm gonna explain it to you guys. I'm gonna explain it to you guys right fucking now, ladies and gentlemen.
Go for it.
As we start off the plot to Mortal Kombat, it has begun. Now,
Nick, I have an intro, bro. Jesus Christ.
I apologize. Can you go do it?
I meant to go, time for the plot, is what I meant to say. So, but.
No, Jim, I get it. No, you were in
so fucking much. Yeah, you were feeling it, Andy.
Yeah,
Let's
I was
go.
feeling the vibes.
Andy, I need now. Here's what I need you to do, Andy. Before I get into the plot, I have a prelogue for
Prologue.
this. Prologue. A prologue. I'm gonna need you to do how this movie does. When I'm done with this prologue, I need you to come in with the Mortal Kombat, like you just did. Okay. But I need it to come in at about 100 fucking decibels because before we begin, I want to tell everyone a little story. Okay. I saw this movie with my best friend Ryan Creasy in 1995 in the Moreno Valley theaters. And we were laughing because for some fucking reason, Tim, when they played the previews, they were unbelievably loud. And we were like, I was like, why are the previews of this movie so loud? And this is when they have like 20 previews per movie, right? And then everything goes dark for a second. And I'm like, oh, it's time for the movie to start. And the fucking song hits. And it was so loud that we both covered our ears, but we were also exhilarated by the sound of it. And I was like, I am fucking 100% in on this movie. And we walked out screaming about how much we loved it, mostly because we couldn't hear anymore. Andy hit me with the song. This is what it sounded like.
Mortal Kombat! I don't know.
That was it. Bow, bow, bow. It has begun, ladies and gentlemen. Shang Tsung is handing Chan Kang his ass on the top of a really ancient structure, and he snaps Kang's back and then looks right into the camera lens and says, "Your brother's soul is mine. You will be next." But isn't that cool way that the actor like really articulates his face? And it's really great.
But also just like a weird transition from playing that hype-ass song and then to this sequence. And like, it's such a weird kind of... What it reminds me of is like, I expected what they were watching to not be a dream sequence. I expected it to be on TV. Like, for it to be happening, and then it pans out, and then it's like a TV commercial. And it's like, oh, we got to go check out this tournament or whatever. But it's just such a weird decision to start off with that song. Like, maybe start off with the more grim kind of beginning. Right. But it's just like, here's the theme song.
Here's the fucking theme song, man.
Now,
and the dragon's on fire. It's amazing.
Let's put the tally on the whiteboard. That's the first time they use the theme song in this.
Thank God.
Oh, it won't be the last.
Nor should it be.
Nope. Liu Kang, of course, wakes up and he's super jacked, and his hair is what I hope Kevin's will look like one day if Kevin keeps growing it out. Kevin, you can get there. He
just needs to cut bangs. Yeah.
Yeah, I think my hair is there. I just need it a little organized.
Cut bangs. You need to cut bangs, feather it out a little bit, and just get some of that 1990s hairspray. Liu Kang looks at a telegram from his grandfather that reads, "Liu Kang, brother dead, return home, bring milk."
A Western Union, by the way.
What the
he
fuck?
got Western Union news that his family was dead. I posted a picture of that on Instagram.
That's how like messages went, because like they didn't have phones, right?
Yeah.
Like,
in 1995?
In 1995,
but his family is like living in some sort of temple, right?
But you feel like if you go to the Western Union
they have a Western
station,
Union at the temple.
You know, if you go all the way into town to go to the Western Union, someone you know has a phone. I'm just throwing that out there. Or email,
so
I think
funny.
was a thing.
I posted on Instagram. My buddy replied to me, and he was like, "Imagine being Western Union news that your family member is dead,
Brother
dead. And there's no money in the Western Union." It's just like It's so good.
Oh man, we
We're
cut
not gonna
over
comment on the crazy fucking hue lights that this guy had in his
the
bedroom.
green. It's just insanely
no
green.
explanation. Was there a giant neon sign outside or what?
I like to
Yeah.
think about like that episode of Seinfeld where they put the sign
Yeah,
up and it
the
was like
red one.
roasting Kramer's face. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how I like to think about it. Over in Hong Kong, Veronica Vaughn and Jax raid a nightclub to capture Kano
coolest.
and his mini Phantom of the Opera mask. Shang Tsung is there too. The whole thing is a red herring, it turns out, to get Sonya Blade on that boat on the way to the tournament. Then
The sequence is so good, and the people dancing, Nick, not phased whatsoever by the gunfire.
One with a
Just
shotgun.
like
With the biggest fucking flashlight I've ever seen attached to the top of the gun. Why did
It
it have
looks
a
cool.
flashlight that it looks,
it looks
really
cool. But also
Well-
the people, like the dude who shot at Sonya Blade with some sort of machine gun, those bullets flew by her, didn't kill anybody behind him.
No.
Crazy. Crazy.
The
No
dancers
consequences.
behind her totally safe.
PG-13. Then over in Los Angeles, Johnny Cage says, let's dance to a group of bad guys. But what he means by dance is fight poorly. Guess what, though? It's just a movie, and Johnny gets a visit from Master Boyd. And Master Boyd wants to help Johnny prove he's the best fighter in the world, and he's going to do that by entering him into a once-in-a-generation tournament. And he's like, no questions asked. I'm in. But he's not really Master Boyd.
Go to this dock real quick, get on this boat. Like, what?
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Why does this boat look haunted?
I love that this movie has simultaneously like nowhere near enough setup and also way too much setup for what's happening. Like either just have it go or like explain it more. Cause this is just so funny of literally go to this weird ass dock and get on a fucking shadow boat. Oh man. And the one thing I really want to bring attention to is Johnny Cage. I don't know if it's the actor. I don't know if it's the style choices they gave him, if it's the lines of dialogue they gave. But in no world is this man cool. Like in no world is this guy a Hollywood actor, like badass guy.
No, well, he's not. He's clearly a C-list, like B-list action star in this world.
Yeah, I think he's supposed to be. Actually, I think
top tier.
I don't know.
He's
I
yelling
think he's
at
supposed to be like
John
Seagal
Clark.
at the height of his powers.
No, I don't know.
pretty
What
sure
I've
he
been
was.
reading this as like, you know, he may have had that career, but now he's just a meddling sort of, you know, B-list action star,
And
which
he's
is why when he, you know, he has that sort of confrontation with Liu Kang, and Liu Kang's like, "Oh, look, another fan," you know? Like I think his career is kind of a joke, especially with this director that he's like, "Why did I choose to be a part of this fucking movie?" I don't think he's like
It
Tom
was supposed
Cruise.
to be
that's-
Steven Spielberg, but he was
Yeah.
busy. He was going to be. It was
That's-
going to be him.
It-
and that's why
They picked a guy
looked
that
like
looked like
Steven
Steven
Spielberg.
Spielberg.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
that,
weird.
That was a nod to him
Yeah.
not being able to be it.
Yeah,
to do it.
I took that as him being like, "Hey, I'm too big for this. Like,
Right.
you got to give me something
I
better."
make the
Which is
choices.
why when his mentor or whoever came through and was like, "Hey, I got to wait for you to prove that you're an actual legit action like dude." I took that as him being like, "Oh, this is my shot now to actually prove to the world that I'm more than just a big star. That I actually do my own stunts and shit."
But it turns out that Master Boyd is not really Master Boyd. He is Shang Tsung in disguise. Is there nothing this man can't do, Kevin? Breakdance. He never learned.
Wow.
Let's see. Lou shows up at the monastery the next day to say what's up to his grandfather, the monks, and wear a dope ass leather jacket that goes great with his hairdo. His brother was training for the tournament after Lou decided not to fight. His grandfather believes that the fate of the world rests in the hands of whoever wins this tournament. And he's like, get off your duff, Lou. You got to get in there. But Lou agrees to represent the Order of the Light at the tournament, but he's not all in, right? He doesn't really believe in what's happening, all this fate of the world crap, until the Highlander himself comes in and is so fucking weird. It's awesome. Raiden, he's like, Raiden, the god of thunder and lightning. This guy's not the god of thunder and lightning. I'm going to challenge him to a fight.
guy.
And then Raiden, okay, so here's the deal, Kevin. You and I go, Kevin, you go, Nick, I'm the god of thunder and lightning. I go, Kevin, you're not the fucking god of thunder and lightning. Right. And then not only do you hand me my ass in a hand-to-hand combat fight, but when you look at me, lightning goes through your eyes.
Yeah.
At that point, I would probably believe it, right?
Yeah, sure.
But Lou's still not in yet. Just remember, he's still on the fence about the whole God of Lightning thing. But they end up going anyway.
Well, one question here, just see if you guys like where we're at. The why was his brother killed? Like, isn't that like cheating?
I assumed he was part of the previous Mortal Kombat.
It was once every
But it happens
generation.
once in a generation.
Once
Yeah,
every
so I was like,
generation.
That kind of got weird.
Shao Tsung, or what's his name?
Shang Tsung.
Shang Tsung.
Shang Tsung, sorry. Just came and killed his brother, who was gonna compete in the tournament. That seems like that's cheating, right? Like that probably shouldn't have been allowed.
Also a tactical error. If you know that Liu is the better fighter, why not just let the brother compete in the tournament, kill him, win the tournament?
Right.
But
the rules get really wonky by the end. I can't wait.
There's a great, we'll get to that moment later where he's like, I would like to exercise my right to challenge anyone. And it's like, you act like that's a big deal, but everyone can challenge anyone at this point. Like, I can fucking, Andy and I could challenge each other to death right now, according to the rules of Mortal Kombat. We don't even have to fight. Raiden and him have a conversation where he says, why didn't you save my brother? And then Raiden looks back at him and says, why didn't you? And then Liu says, because I'm not the fucking Lord of God of Thunder and Lightning. I'm just a cook. A lowly cook. At the boat, Johnny meets Art Lean, who I assumed until Blessing said this was a main character in Mortal Kombat because he's got a lot of screen time in this. But I guess he's not. And they become best friends. But then he mistakes Liu for a porter, so Liu throws his luggage in the water. And he says, thank God I didn't ask him to park my car.
Oh my god. This movie just fucking gets it, man. Like it somehow knows every single moment what choice to make us go, what the fuck? You know? Like and not what the fuck, like, oh, this is boring way. Like, if anything, this movie's not boring. You know what I mean? It's like,
not at all.
What are they gonna do next?
Yeah. Now, I'll tell you this right now. A lot of it is you guys were talking about Johnny Cage and how he doesn't really resemble a massive Hollywood star. But I will say this. I think he makes this movie because this actor, the way he reacts to everything is so fundamentally lame and wrong that it makes every scene, like, it makes you think there's more depth in the scene where you're like, why isn't he scared? Why isn't he like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I digress.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Johnny Cage in the games is like
so
this
mellow.
He's like this dumb, annoying, cocky dude who happens to be amazing at fighting. And I think the movie captures that pretty well. Like the whole movie, I was like, this guy is slightly annoying, seems too cocky, and I mean, he's able to punch Goro in the nuts, and so it's a good fighter, I guess.
But also when he arrives at the island and he gets out of the boat, it's like, what are we doing, Lou? Like, what the hell are we doing right now? And I feel like he's the only one asking that important question.
Yeah.
But there's also there's something about the way he delivers Lou's name that doesn't make it sound like Liu.
It's
it always
LOU.
sounds like LOU.
Yeah, LOU.
It just every time it takes me out of it.
1000%.
Like,
I love it. No, I love
Johnny
it.
Cage, you're someone's uncle right now.
Like I expect him to be like, hey, Louie, get out.
Yeah, totally.
Of course, before we get to that, Sonya sneaks aboard the ship because she spots Kano, but Jax doesn't come with for no reason other than the fact that I guess he's just a really bad partner. Johnny literally runs into Sonya and starts hitting on her, and Liu makes fun of him. Sonya searches the depths of the boat and meets Shang Tsung, who also hits on her. Then Johnny and Liu join her to act tough until Scorpion and Sub-Zero come in, and this part is where I would jump off the fucking boat. If I saw these guys, I'd be like, nope, I'm in over my head. I'm just a Hollywood guy. I'm just a cook. Thankfully, Raiden comes in and evens things out and reminds Shang Tsung about the rules of the tournament. He's like, these are very specific rules of the tournament. You are not to fight before the fight, except for when you killed Liu's brother. You're allowed to do that, apparently.
Yeah,
you're allowed to kill people's brothers.
Stuff. That's fine.
Exactly.
Why
That's
not kill
pre-tournament.
all of these competitors then?
Exactly. You just leave one person standing.
So
I love all this line of dialogue from Raiden. Go ahead, Bless.
Yeah, so like, what did Kano do to Sonya? Like, is it just
Killed her
she's
partner.
a cop and she just
No,
needs...
he
okay.
killed her. Yeah.
He killed
that
her,
makes
but
more
not
sense.
Jax though, because apparently that's so. This is now I'm starting to
Jax
unpack
is her
this.
new
Right, I'm
partner.
starting to think about this. Jax is the new partner, chip on his shoulder. She goes on the boat. He's like, you know what? You're never gonna like me as much as the old partner. So we're done, Sonya. We're done.
Okay, that makes more sense. Because the whole time I was like, wow, she really she takes her job really seriously. She's trying to find this criminal.
She does.
She's
though,
so
to
like,
be fair.
as
She
opposed
really
to
does.
the actor who's playing Johnny Cage, Bridget Wilson, I think is her name, is the actress that plays Sonya. Is like,
That
I'm going to go the
Veronica Vaughn.
opposite. I'm going to try to get an Academy Award with this role. And the director was like, Lou, I want you somewhere in the middle. Somewhere in the middle of these two.
Yes.
Let's see. Turns out the Emperor of the Outworld wants to conquer Earth, but his sorcerer Shang Tsung and his fighters must win 10 Mortal Kombats in a row. And guess what, guys? They've already won 9. This will be lucky number
Yes.
10.
What a great see, I love that. It's just like, oh shit, okay, they're really gonna build a whole bunch of shit. No, it's this one. Let's go.
Arbitrary ass rules, dude.
It kind of makes sense though, because that way you don't have to have this thing like every 10 years. It would have to be like every. It would take them hundreds of years potentially,
Yeah,
or
it's
100
every
years,
30 years
to win the whole
right?
tournament.
Or I would assume
It's
it's
kind
kind
of-
around there.
it's
If you had to win 10 in a
bullshit.
row, it would be a while, right?
It's really unfair just because, like, they're gonna live forever, sort of thing. Like, I don't know. I just don't really agree with the rules. They're gonna live for decades and centuries, and these humans are gonna die. Like, they have like a smaller window.
It's so funny to me that Andy Cortez has like beef with the rules of Mortal Kombat. Like he's gonna write a letter to the
I don't
commissioner.
agree with
Like,
this.
I'm not
"I
happy
don't know
about
if
it.
This is
And
fair."
boon.
It reminds me of like
I've written
voting
you 3
districts.
letters,
This is shit's unfair, man.
It's
I
very
have
true.
looked into their souls and yours. One of you 3 will determine the outcome of the tournament. The fate of the billions depends on you.
So you have the laugh.
The laugh.
It's so weird. It's such a
Andy,
weird
it's so
choice,
strange.
dude.
Can you do the thing that he does too many times where he's in the scene here and he goes, like he just looks and then it cuts. It happens all the time. I don't know why they do it. Christopher Lambert, by the way, I was thinking about it. I was like, maybe Christopher Lambert had a deal with New Line potentially, because I think maybe they put out the Highlander sequels. I don't know. And then in my brain, I'm like, maybe he was popular back then because of Highlander. But I'm like, no, that would have been like Highlander, like The Reckoning, or like the 3rd or 4th one. By then, that would have been straight to video. I don't know why they cast him in this movie.
Well, they definitely recast him in the next one. You've chosen to defend the realm of Earth in a tournament called Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat. I'm
So
Mortal
weird,
Kombat. Okay. Cool. Anyway, Raiden has looked into all the fighter souls, and only Liu, Sonya, and Johnny have what it takes to save the Earth. Liu wants to challenge Sang now, but Raiden says you're not ready. And then Liu's like, what do I need to do to get ready? And Raiden's like, eh. And Liu's like, no, fucking tell me now. Why don't people just tell me what I need to do? And then he goes, it has begun. Love the effects in this film. I put that here because I think this is the part where Shang Tsung goes, it has begun, and then all of the the skulls and fucking snakes and shit are like
flying through the
materializing
air
around them. Again,
Like, what is this?
what's happening?
Just like jump. You could swim back still. You can turn away and not do this. But by the way, in the sequences prior to this moment with Shang Tsung, where they're all sort of standing there talking, the background is so clearly a black drape with little holes poked in it to create starlights, or little lights kind of to create the stars or whatever.
A matte painting, basically.
Yeah, because you can see the background. It's getting blue light from their blue light source that's creating the blue light on set. It just looks really terrible. It's so funny to look at.
Let's see. They land on the island. Johnny has too much luggage. Sonya's compass is going nuts, and they go, "Where are we? What's happening?" They climb to the top of Mount Doom and see all the a bunch of statues of warriors. And Liu spots Princess Katana, whom we all remember from the James Bond movie License to Kill. That's right, Blessing. I knew you'd remember it.
Yeah.
Shang Tsung orders one of the statues, Reptile, to keep an eye out for her, and it comes to life with all of the realism and I already written of just early N64 graphics.
I love it. I'm so happy that this exists in time and will never go away. So we'll always be able to look back and see what things used to be like. Because I remember watching the fucking Power Rangers movie in 1995, same year, and just being so blown away by how crazy it all looked. And it looks exactly like this. The Megazords looked exactly like this.
Yep.
Just
The way the metal reflects, the way
Yeah.
every material looks. Like, here's the thing. Everybody, this Lord of the Rings franchise, I always talk about, like, we got the first CG character. I think it's Reptile. I think he's the one that we need to give more credit to.
Totally.
What year did Jurassic Park come out?
94.
Okay. So that tells you everything you need to know. We had seen Jurassic Park before this movie. So anyone that thought anyone that was making this movie that was like, this shit is cutting edge, clearly had not been to the
93,
cinemas
sorry, 93.
for like 4 or 5 years. This shit was so budget back then. It was laughably bad, even for the time period. But I digress. It all adds
What
up.
about
So
Nick? How
enjoy
do
it.
you feel about the choice of them giving Scorpion instead of his fucking spear on a rope? They gave him
God.
some weird fucking like angry
Creature.
flower that
He-
comes
They gave
out of
him.
his
They gave him
hand.
the.
It was like
They
a-
gave him Tui from Little Shop of Horrors. Yeah, it was weird as
exactly.
shit.
Just, God,
It was
looked
very
so
weird.
nasty. I
And
hate
it
the
goes
slit.
out. It goes out in the worst possible way, and I love it. By the way, I put a note in the notes right here, this is when I started eating goldfish, crackers, and salami and cheese. Yummy. Dinner time, everyone shows up for the feast, and Shang Tsung gives everyone the welcome and tells them about Prince Gordo, the reigning champ. Gordo. That's what his name is now.
There we go.
Apparently, everyone has to beat in order to win the tournament. So evidently, Tim, and this is where I have this, and I think I corrected it later, but I'm just going to say it out here. They're doing 1985 All Valley Karate Tournament rules, not 1984 All Valley Karate Tournament rules. So apparently, the champ only has to do one fight at the end here.
But he does.
Or so I thought. Or so I thought. Yeah.
Okay.
He ends up fighting a lot of people. I think just for fun. I think he just
Yeah,
has
I
a good
think
time.
he just likes it.
Staying warm. Shang Tsung gives everyone a taste of what's to come by letting Sub-Zero ice a red shirt, and then he says flawless victory, which is
I love
dope.
that
And I'm
so
like,
much.
That's such a
that's
good
so
moment.
cool.
That was like one of the coolest scenes in the movie for me. I
It
thought
would have
that
been
was
a
really
lot
cool.
stronger if they didn't do it like 4 more times when the person had made contact. Right? Like in the other
their
fights.
rules are a
Oh,
little
flawless
faster.
victory.
It's like that's not a flawless
Yeah.
victory. That's a victory
Even
with like 90% HP.
It was flawed.
Yeah, even Liu Kang said it at the end of the movie, and that kind of annoyed me because I was like, Liu Kang, no,
It's
you
not a
can't.
flawless victory.
Well,
You
no, I mean, at
can't
the
pull
end it
that
made
back.
sense.
You
He
got hit
was
a
like,
couple
fuck
times.
you, I won.
Right. Goro watches as Johnny, Sonya, and Liu chase after Shang Tsung. Sonya wants to get to the bottom of what's going on, but Goro shows up and scares everyone with his cool shadow. They find Kano dining.
That is
at a
what
massive,
happened.
That's
That's what
happens.
happened. His shadow
Again-
scares them.
Hold on, guys. Let's just think about that for a second. Like, how did they see a shadow in front of them? And then they were like, well, you go in there and find out. That's not how shadows work, right? Like,
No, you would see the person in front, like standing in
behind
front with a
them.
light
You would
behind
see
them.
the person behind them with the light source. I just don't understand how they were like, it's fine. No one's going to think
It's-
about it that hard.
We're in Shang Tsung's realm right now, man.
I'll tell you what, though, I want that
But
big
wait,
old
wait,
turkey
wait.
leg. I want that
Another-
turkey leg Kano's been
God.
chomping on.
Yeah, look
He
good.
is chomping.
Another question that I have that maybe you guys will help me answer. Are they on Earth Realm right now? Are they
No.
in the Earth Realm?
They're somewhere.
I thought
They're
they
not?
were on Earth Realm,
I think they
but
are
like
too.
later in the movie, they
Oh.
definitely end up in Outworld.
Yeah.
They go to Outworld later when
Yeah.
Shang Tsung kidnaps Sonya, I believe.
Yes.
I
And that's-
think.
so
I
right
think
now I think
Shang
we're
Tsung's
still on
Island
Earth.
is on Earth, yeah, but it just has weird compass shit going on.
Let's see. Shang Tsung tells Goro that he's like, why? Goro's like, why? I don't like this Australian guy. And he was like, well, you should get to know him because Australian people are generally pretty cool. But Kano, it turns out, is exactly why Shang Tsung loves Earth. This guy's a piece of shit, and even he can thrive in this realm. And then Shang Tsung warns Goro about Princess Katana, who is the rightful heir to the throne of Outworld. She must not be allowed to join forces with the good guys. And then Goro's like, well, what are you doing to make sure she doesn't do that? And Shang Tsung's like, oh, I got Reptile watching her. That's what I've done so far. Girl's like, get your fucking shit together, sorcerer. All right, this is life or death.
I want to call back an earlier scene that was always so formative for me in my young filmmaking career. Being a kid, watching just the amazing cinematography, and when they get on the boat, when Sonya and Jax are looking for Kano, and in the shadows you see the red eye. And like the light kind of reveals Kano, and then it covers him up again. And she's like, "He's on the boat or whatever." He's like, "Hey, come here, little dare," or whatever the fuck he's. I don't know what he says. But that's the scene of like the light kind of like revealing him and then unrevealing him. It looks so badass. Like, dude, this is a film right here. This is a film.
That is it.
People
That is
need
a
to be talking
motion
about
picture.
this. Come Oscar time, people will be talking.
Bro, at that time, did you think people would still be talking about this film 30 years later? Because we are. Let's see.
Before we keep talking about it, though, let me tell you about our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get fresh, pre-measured ingredients and mouth-watering seasonal recipes delivered right to your door. HelloFresh lets you skip those trips to the grocery store and makes home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. And that's why it's America's #1 meal kit. HelloFresh cuts out stressful meal planning and grocery store trips so you can enjoy cooking and get dinner on the table in about 30 minutes or less. A lot of people at Kinda Funny have been using HelloFresh, including Kevin. Isn't that right?
Yep. And I love it.
What do you love most about HelloFresh, Kev?
So we do the vegetarian options because Paul is a vegetarian. And I can't believe how many different vegetarian foods I'm eating that are phenomenal. There's so many.
That's great. That's great. And that's the whole thing. HelloFresh gives you a ton of options based on your diet, based on what type of food you're looking for. They offer the flexibility you need with customizable orders every week. You can easily change your delivery days or food preferences and skip a week, whatever you need. So you can go to HelloFresh.com/morning12 and use code morning12 for 12 free meals, including free shipping. That's HelloFresh.com/morning12. Next up, I want to give a shout out to BetterHelp, our new sponsor, BetterHelp Online Therapy. A lot of us take care of our bodies, but 2020 and 2021 have been tough. So you might also want to be taking care of your minds. I mean, definitely, you 100% do. It's been really rough. There's a misunderstanding of what therapy is. It can be whatever you need it to be, whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be sitting around talking about your feelings. A lot of people battle with their temper or their stress and it's about to kill them, or they have depression, anxiety, PTSD. The list goes on. If this is you, you can use therapy to get some tools that help make life easier. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist. So you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. And that's great. You know, I know a lot of people have a feeling that one way or another about this type of stuff, and I love that this kind of gives you the options to do it at your own pace and so that you feel comfortable. We're always talking kind of funny about how important mental health is, and this is a great way, great couple steps that you could be taking to deal with it. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. Join the millions of people who are seeing what therapy is really about. It's always a good time to invest in yourself because you are your greatest asset. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and all of you listeners can get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/morning. That's BetterHelp.com/morning. betterhelp.com/morning. Go for it, Nick.
The heroes bounce but get lost, so Katana shows them the way and lose all about her, despite the fact that she's a little too old for him. Blessing, 10,000 years too old for him. And then Reptile blows some venom onto Lou's face, and they get lost. So they head back into the Spiderway hallway.
Thank God there was no consequences to that. It just ended up being like water sprayed in his eyes, or he was like, "Oh, it doesn't feel good."
Know, guys,
yeah, there was no long-standing effects.
It didn't melt his eyeballs or anything. He was fine.
It reminds me a lot of when I used to travel with one friend, Mirabella, and he used to bring a face spray onto planes to keep the skin on his face hydrated.
No,
that is a true story. That is a true,
God, I love
100% true story.
I love France so much. Another quick thing that I want to note: if you are trying to follow someone and you enter a bunch of corridors that all have web that clearly has been there for
thousands of years,
at least a month, like that person has not gone that way. You can't say, "I'm pretty sure she went this way." Someone should have been like, no, the web,
the spider web.
The web would be broken. You know,
they interpret time differently there, Kevin. They interpret time differently. But I do love that transition of, you know, Goro and Kano are kind of looking for them, and they're like, they walk into this new room, like, what? This didn't look like this before. And she's at the end of a hallway, and she's just kind of like, there's like a pan flute or some shit, and she's got like blue light on her, and she walks like, oh, that's Princess Katana. It's just like, it's the stupidest. Like, I got to assume they wrote the diner table scene. They wrote the sequence where they eventually go for a katana, but they're like, how do we mash them together?
Yeah, how do we?
Let's just have Katana at the end of a hallway, just like. Like she just kind of, it's so hilarious looking, dude.
It's so ridiculous. Of course, I accidentally or maybe intentionally leads them back to the dining hall where there's always, Kevin, this is what bothers me about this. And Blessing, you can weigh in on this too. There's always a block of cheese, a giant block of cheese on these big feasts. No one ever touches it.
You know what? I feel the same way. There was a lot of food on that table. And yeah, the block of cheese is always untouched.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
Because they just cut off, you cut off a clump and you have a little grater and you're like,
you put it on your pasta, you know, put it on your lasagna.
Put it on a big turkey leg, you know.
I will say that they had a cake that it looks like Kano took a slice out of, so that was pretty cool.
Tim, were you always wearing this shirt that said Gordo?
Yeah.
Yes, I was.
I just noticed that.
Is that why Nick said
it? That's why Nick said it.
Probably exactly. That's probably what stuck in my head. Also, I'm an idiot. I probably wrote Gordo instead of Gordo.
I love this fucking show.
Really quick, also to jump backwards because like we missed it, and I do want to mention it. It really upset me when they were all having dinner, and then all the ninjas come in and they throw all the tables down.
I was like, yo.
And it was like, what the like? Oh, we want to show you how cool Sub-Zero is as we kill one of our own men. all right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a very good point. Because if I were working for them, I'd be like, I don't know that I love the direction this company's going.
I don't know if they have my best interests.
Yeah, like, we're wasting a lot of food right now that could go to a lot of people.
Yeah. Also, they just killed Jerry.
And in a way,
the guy.
I don't even think it was a fully sanctioned fight. I think it was just to make a statement.
Yeah, it was definitely an exhibition. It was an exhibition for sure.
Yeah, that guy was not going to win. Of course, it's all for nothing because when they wind back up in the hallway, a bunch of red shirts run in, and then it fucking drops again. And I stopped thinking about cheese, and I start thinking about testing my motherfucking might, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
Test your might. Okay. And they just, red shirts come in, and we just get a cool fight scene and some really exciting one-liners like
it a cool fight
Sonya
scene?
Blade going, just how I like them, dumb and ugly.
Yeah.
Yep.
But when the music kicks in, like I'm sitting here and I'm like, hell yeah.
They just don't make them like they used to, man. And
They
in
really
some
don't.
ways, that's a good thing. In others, I'm telling you, motherfuckers, why are you so scared to have dope songs that you just play during cool scenes? Let that happen. Just let it happen.
Play them again.
If we don't fucking hear this song in the new movie, it's gonna suck.
Get the fuck out of here.
Like, there's no like, there is a chance that we hear this song in the new movie.
There's no
I
chance.
do think there's no chance that we hear like in the credits.
We hear it in the
Like,
credits.
I could see it being the credits song. But like,
Like a-
I
like
wish
a
that
real
that was
I want
the
it
case.
in the movie.
I want it
Dude.
in the movie. I want it in the middle of a fight. I want it to happen at no less than 3 times.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
like, I just don't think that's gonna happen.
It needs to, at the very least, be like the climax. At the climax, not like the main climax, but there's always that moment where it's like everyone got together, they're going to start fighting, and we're like, "This is it!" And then something happens, like, "Oh no, we lost the fucking gauntlet again. Spider-Man's got to take it to Miss Marvel, whatever." And then you get the real climax. I want the first climax where it's like everyone's together, it's like on your left, and they just wait. And then start fighting,
I feel like in 2021 you're gonna get like the slow violin, like dramatic version of it.
I'll take
where
it.
It's like
I'll
the
take any
dun,
version.
dun, 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 dun,
Well, yeah, the trailer kind of had something like that, So
But
They're
so
gonna
many of
bring
these
the song
trailers
back.
have it in the trailer, and then they don't have it in the movie. And like, I get it doesn't work for every movie, but Mortal Kombat is the type of thing where like, if you're not going to do that, why are you even making
Why
it?
you
no,
even making it,
I
right?
think the fact that they're even making a Mortal Kombat movie, I think the people know.
I agree.
I hope
Dude,
so.
you make a Mortal Kombat without this song, and it's like a Fast and Furious movie where Vin Diesel doesn't mention family 17 times. Like, you
Right.
have to have that. Anyway,
He fought in a car in the last one.
I mean,
I
oh
love
God,
this movie
so
so,
good.
It did.
much.
The car deserved it, dude.
Raiden walks them all back, interrupts and stops the fight again because apparently this is all completely legal according to tournament rules. And then he walks them all back to the room and tells Liu that most likely Shang Tsung will fight. He'll fight in this tournament, but to face him will be like facing a legion of his adversaries, sort of like what they used to tell us about high school about having unprotected sex. And then first
legion of
fight of the day.
adversaries.
It's just
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
funny because it's
Oh,
four.
makes sense.
It's four people he has to face, and that's the Legion.
That's it. First fight of the day, Liu versus the character's name was the Fighting Monk, and Liu wins with a double kick to the chest. So Shang Tsung collects his soul, and he says, "Your soul is mine." And I was like, "That's so cool." And then he waits a second, and he goes, "Fatality." And I'm like, Did they like both those lines? They just decided to keep them all in.
I don't like the fact that each fight doesn't end with Shang Tsung saying finish him, and then the
Yeah.
person has to kill the other person. Because that's what
Yeah.
I was expecting I was expecting for the twist to be like the quote unquote twist to be, okay, cool. All these regular Earth realmers come to the island and in this tournament that they've never heard of. They get in the fight, and then Shang Tsung is like, finish him, and they're like, what? And they're like, you got to kill him, and they're like, oh fuck, I guess I got to do this to save the Earth, and then they murder somebody, and then he says fatality.
When you say it like that, Bless.
That's shocking.
Like I thought that's what it was gonna be. And it should
That
have
would
been
be. Well, I mean, they started it off like that, and then all of a sudden, then the rules get all willy nilly, where you can just fight Princess Katana whenever you want. It's more like an exhibition match.
because I don't like Shang Tsung getting the soul. Like I just killed somebody, or I just defeated somebody.
want
Why
that
does
soul.
Shang Tsung get the soul? Why does
I
he
want
get
that
more
soul.
powerful? That's fucked
Yeah.
up. I want the soul.
I want the soul. It's like Highlander. You kill him, you get the soul. You get his power. Sonya Blade is up next. She fights Kano in jorts and combat boots because it's the 90s. But you know what? You could legit wear all that shit right now and be my hero, Kevin. Sonya wins by choking Kano with her thighs. And then when he asks her to give him a break, she goes, okay, and then snaps his neck. And
Just
I'm
like when I
oh.
killed your friend, air to air. I'll never forget that line. Like that line was just right in my brain, dude.
Andy, you fucking nailed that. I want to let you know. But was that your second try because you were muted the first?
Yes.
Because I looked over and Andy literally just looked like. I'm like, what the fuck is he doing?
Air to air.
What's funny is like all you did was tweak your Christian Bale a little bit, and it's perfect.
Yeah.
All I when I was a kid, I thought he was saying here to here.
Right.
I didn't know it was like the ear to ear. I didn't
See, that's
understand that as
exactly
a pphrase.
Subtext of Mortal Kombat with a K.
And I'll also getting grossed out with all the spit on her leg. And he's like, please, Sonya, don't do it. Give me a break. And like, it's just saliva all over her thigh. Ugh, I was like, fucking gross, dude. You're gross.
Yeah,
You're gross
This is a cool
Australian.
moment.
She's got really wet lips.
Cool
She
moment
was
for a
so-
1995 movie, but like in 2021, it's not cool, Sonya. You shouldn't be. You're part of the force. You can't be just murdering. people.
Yeah.
It's frowned upon.
You ever heard about due process, Sonia? It's the thing. Of course, we are on an island in the middle. It might be maritime law for all we know out there blessing. We don't know.
That's not how
That's
islands
fair.
work.
They're in the middle of the sea, Kevin. It's just like a big boat.
Murder's legal out here. You can murder out here.
I wonder if he took out your partner. That wasn't. It's not even like his or family member. You know, it's just your partner.
She's
Can't
known
be
this guy
murdering
5
people.
years max. Then Scorpion attacks Johnny in a forest, and he says,
Okay.
"Get over here."
I need you guys to stop for a second. Kev, I sent you this clip that I need to bring up because I want you guys to understand. I've known Gia now for 6 years. We've watched hundreds of movies together, so many hours of TV, all of this stuff. I don't think the two of us together have ever laughed as hard as we did seeing this scene. We had to watch it like 5 times, and it was just a hearty laugh. We do need audio, Kev.
Okay.
We definitely need audio for the hit.
All right, ready?
Just watch for like 20 seconds.
What's so funny about it? It seems amazing. You think about the cartwheel in? Yeah, it got me too.
Look at the graphics in this thing. Look at it. God, it's bad.
The cartwheel in from just nothing. And Johnny Cage is so scared in these fucking trees. He looks back so many times. Like we just watched the 20 seconds of like when the actual funny part happens. He's looking around way longer.
Yeah.
There is way too much bullshit. But him just looking, it cutting it, then Scorpion doing the most bitch ass cartwheel with the music
drums.
hit.
So great.
The percussionist, like I can imagine the percussionist like watching the scene, like wait for the cartwheel, chicka chicka chicka. It's so good.
Let's see. Let me get my notes
It's
back
so
up because I was
dumb.
watching
I
that.
love it.
That cartwheel. Let's see. They attack. He says, "Get over here," and then he says, "Come here," and then vanishes, and then reappears and shoots his little hand buddy at Johnny, which smashes against a tree and kills him, presumably forever. And then Scorpion sucks Johnny into another realm so he can say "welcome" in a manner that really doesn't fit the tone and scene of this scene at all, but it 100% does. Then they fight, and Johnny does some sweet gymnastics.
And the music is rocking, dude.
It's pumping, bro.
Fuck.
He does gymnastics to get up the scaffolding, but Scorpion tells him to get down here and kicks it down.
I hate
and-
that.
I hated that. That
I
was the worst.
fucking hate that.
That was
dude.
terrible.
Because you gotta know that at that point they were like, well, what else does Scorpion say? I don't know. Get down here, and it's just this.
Down
It's
here.
just
Go over there. Take
Yeah.
a left.
yeah.
What?
It's just variations of get over here, and I fucking hate it, dude. It's so stupid.
And then he rips off his mask to reveal a skull and then spits fire at Johnny, who deflects it with the shield and then uses the shield to cut Scorpion apart, causing him to explode in fire and signed headshots of Johnny Cage.
Oh my gosh, the fire burning, like we would always imitate it as kids. Yay! He's like blowing out the fire, and he's just like doing this thing. And then when they cut to the skull, and the skull like is clearly just a zoom in on a skull, like somebody controlling a skull with their hand, and it just kind of does this look. It's so stupid, dude. It's amazing.
Next up, we got Lou fighting Princess Katana, and she tells him that she was like, as they're fighting, she's like, in order to win the next match, you must use the element that brings life. And then Lou looks at her and goes, you mean water? If you mean water, can you just say water? It's water, right? And then she disappears. Next up,
Although,
Lou versus
hold on,
Sub-Zero.
though. Hold on. Is the answer water?
Yeah.
Because I feel like if they're trying to get to water, if it's a riddle and water is the answer, I feel like there's many, many, many things that she could have used to get there besides the thing that brings life or whatever.
The fucked up thing is that I solved it. Like not remembering not remembering this movie at all, like especially this detail. When she said that, in my head I was like, okay, is she talking about fire? Because I know Liu Kang does this fire moves, but then I was like, the element that brings life. She must be talking about water. Like I had that moment while watching, and so when he got there and the answer was water, I was like,
yeah, I think everyone's missing the point. Why do you need to put it in a riddle at all?
Yeah.
You're on his side. Hey, in the next fight, use water. They did it. They
really
put a riddle
scene.
in this movie just to add some level of depth for the audience that you just, by the way, he solves it in the next scene. It's not like later. It's not like we have to like remember, right? It's like the next scene is Lou versus Sub-Zero.
Another one of my favorite moments that is on par with the scorpion cartwheel out of nowhere with the drums is when they are in the middle of the fight, Sub-Zero's running away, running down a ramp, and does all these cool flips to get away from Liu Kang while going down the ramp. And then it cuts to Liu Kang, and all he does is run down the ramp and go, yeah. He does like a midair like jump.
But he does it. He just does it to flex for a second. It doesn't. He's not throwing the punch at anyone. He just kind of does that.
Yeah, you could tell he didn't know what to do there.
In the script there, Andy, there's a little Easter egg fact for you here. He was supposed to perfectly imitate what Sub-Zero did, but look better. Like that was the point. He couldn't do it. Just straight up couldn't do it. So after a couple takes, he just did that, and they're like, "Okay, whatever, we'll use it.
Why not?"
Yeah, just fucking use it. The thing that bothered me about
how is that real? Use a stunt double. Do something. Don't just have him run and scream.
Bro, Tim, this is Mortal Kombat, baby. We're jazzed. We're moving around. We got to keep the ship going. Okay,
we gotta get the shots in. We gotta make sure his face is in it. The thing that bothered me about the water thing was more so the riddle did bother me, but also like how would she know? Like nobody's killed Sub-Zero. Like he's still here. You know, like
but I mean,
how
is
would you
water his weakness?
No, that's the thing. Also, like the reason why water worked is because just in this very
he was
specific
using that
moment,
move.
in the very specific moment, he's using the move, and the water happened to form in a sharp object that would pierce him. But like you didn't know that was gonna happen, Katana. There's no reason why she knew that information to relay to him.
She's been watching game
she's been
tape. She's
thinking
like
about
she's seen like, oh, I've been seeing him run this play like when we've been watching them practice.
I've been watching a lot of Evo, and
I've been watching
this is the
him
strat
scrim
against Sub-Zero.
Do you think in another like world, another timeline, he throws the water and it forms into like a sheet of ice and it hits Sub-Zero in the eye and he goes, time out, and has to like go talk to his mom for a second.
Hold up.
And she's like, hold on, he got hurt.
But also like that spear wasn't really moving at a fast pace to impale someone.
Also,
Against
his
the wall.
fucking superpower is ice. Why would ice kill him?
It's irony, Nick. Dramatic irony.
Also,
Anyway.
if you threw water into like a freezing temperature like that, it would just like fucking like
Turn into
dissipate.
dust.
It probably
Yeah.
turned into
It would turn into
snow,
dust.
actually.
Yes, like
But-
dust. Yeah, well, not dust, but like powder,
snow dust.
Snow. Yeah.
Hey,
We've seen
we're
it
getting real
before.
technical here, guys. This
Yeah.
is Mortal
Like, I'm from
Kombat.
Illinois. I know how it
baby. We're
works.
moving around. You know, we're doing
It's
the
jazz.
thing. Of course, he as he's fighting, Sub-Zero's losing. He forms the bubble, and Lou's like, I don't know what to do. And we hear Princess Katana's words echo one more time. Mind you, we just heard those
He
words
touches
30
the bubble.
seconds ago.
He touches the bubble, remember? And it's like,
I can't get through the bubble. And then she, by the way, just so that this is how little they think of the audience that was watching this movie. Princess Katana comes around the corner and like looks at him, right? And then we hear her words, use the element that brings life. And then he looks down at the water and he says, water, and picks it up and throws it at him. And then Katana goes, joke's on you, it was wind. But you still won. You still won. Then we move on. We get treated to another montage.
But that's what I love. Sub-Zero dies, next scene. What's the
scene.
fallout from this
Yeah.
sequence? Like who moves? Do we see a tournament ranking or a like?
Nope.
we got to see the chart of where Liu Kang moves on next. In
We
this
have no
tournament.
idea, Andy. They don't even know what a bracket is on
Yeah.
Outworld Island or wherever the fuck, Earthbound Island.
Well,
just
would have been
doesn't
cooler if I was the writer of this movie. Would have been for her to do like the whole use the element that brings life, and then it is like the scene of Liu Kang being like Sub-Zero fucking him up, and then he hits that moment where he's like, all right, I gotta use the element that brings life, and he like focuses his energy and builds a fucking fireball and uses it against this ice dude.
Yeah.
That would have been so much better. Like they
You
had
mean-
the opportunity to do that and they didn't do it.
You mean like
If
the
he just-
fireball that happens at the end?
Yeah, for like a half second that
When he
looked like
threw
looked
it-
like static electricity that
But
didn't
it's
look
so
like a
cool
fireball.
though, dude. I got like major DBZ hype up vibes from that moment. Like, oh, let's fucking do this, dude. It's
Well,
so sick.
I mean, honestly, like to be critical of the movie, obviously you can't be critical of this movie because it's just beyond that at this point. But one of the things that they keep talking about is like, hey, you're not ready. You're not ready to fight Shang Tsung yet. And what Blessy just said would have been a great way to do it, where every fight he has to pick up a skill like that levels him up so that when he does fight Shang Tsung, he has what he needs to actually beat him. Instead, he just had to believe in himself a little bit better. But we're going to get to that in a second. Use the water, use the element that brings life. And he's like, just say water. We get treated to a montage of Goro murdering everyone. So I was wrong, Tim. I apologize. As Kevin stated, we are now using the All Valley Tournament rules set from 1984,
Makes
not
sense.
1985. That's my bad. Art Lean is up next. You guys
hate-
all remember Art Lean
Okay.
from all the games he was in.
Eventually, he destroys Art Lean. Like, let's just fast forward. He
Yeah, we can
fucking
go.
picks him up, and he's
Fucks
like
him up.
little tiny arms.
Finish him. He
looks-
says, "Finish him."
Speaking of earlier Tim mentioned Super Mario Bros. The movie. He looks like a Goomba. His head reminds me of one of the Goombas
Yeah.
in there. He just looks silly as hell. It's a stupid, funny scene, but the amount of celebration he has for destroying Art Lean. Did he have those same celebrations for all of the people he was destroying in the little montage of everybody's bodies flying? Like, it's so funny also seeing those moments of like there's like for some reason I always remember when one of the there's a black dude that gets beat up and he lands on the ground and he like goes flat against the ground. I always remember that little sequence, and there's that Mexican dude that like hits the ground and hits the rocks, and I was like, wow, he really hit his face there. But
Yeah,
that
the
montage
rocks
is
are
just
painful.
ridiculous. And then Art Lean, he gets backhanded essentially when Shang Tsung is like, finish him. Whoa, how is he gonna finish this man? And he just
Yeah, he just
I'm so
sort of
excited.
like,
I'm so excited
PG-13.
for the next movie, man.
I
Because
know.
I hope we get a similar moment. And he just fucking tears his arms apart.
yeah, dude.
Well,
so after that, of course, they're like, we're never gonna beat that guy. And Raiden says, here's your problem. Johnny, you're too egotistical to fight carefully. Sonya, you're afraid to trust others. And Lou, your mullet is just too goddamn powerful. You're gonna have to overcome
You're
all these things
beautiful.
if you want to beat Goro. He says, you fear your own destiny. Lou, you think you're responsible for your brother's death, but every mortal chooses their own destiny. Shang Tsung can peer into your soul and use your fears against you. Translation, use against him. Lou has another nightmare about his brother while meditating shirtless on a beach, and then Johnny wants to challenge Goro because he loves Sonya. And then
Were
Shang-
they born in labs? Now it's time to rank those abs.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the world famous podcast within a podcast, Rank Those Abs, where we rank the abs of everyone in the Mortal Kombat series. We're going to start with Liu Kang, who just looks fucking great in this. His body, he didn't go for like they didn't go for a lot of
Shredded.
bulk. He's just cut. He looks
Yeah.
fantastic in this. I don't think, does Johnny ever get shirtless? No one else takes their shirt off, right? It's pretty much
No,
just him in
Johnny
this.
doesn't take
I
his
mean,
shirt
Goro.
off.
Goro.
Goro, yeah, pretty shredded. He's
It's a
got
Muppet.
like 12
That dude's a
packs.
fucking Muppet. That's not real.
I do want to shout out also the initial dude who gets his ass beat by Sub-Zero.
Oh, that
In
guy's
in
jacked.
that guy was so
He was
cut,
cut.
like
Dude.
0% body fat. Shout out to that dude. I think it's really only Liu Kang is who takes his shirt off in this movie
Well,
as like
there
the
he is.
main dude, and he looked amazing.
Number one with the
There
bullet.
it is.
Let's see. Shang agrees to let Johnny fight Goro under one condition. And at this point, as Johnny's lawyer, I'd be like, no. He doesn't have to run this shit by you. You can just challenge anyone in this. This is Mortal Kombat, dude. There's no structure to this rule set.
Yeah.
But here's the one condition, Tim. Shang Tsung reserves the right to challenge the winner or anyone else at a time and place of his choosing.
Just
so
no rules.
he can
Just no rules.
challenge either the winner of this fight or anyone else whenever and wherever he wants. To which Johnny's like, I don't know what the fucking fine. I agree to this. There's no rules anyway. It doesn't
it's just
matter.
like, wait, but then who do you have to win to beat? Because
I don't know, because Goro was the guy.
Johnny Cage,
the
I want to
champion.
fight your. I'm gonna fight your mom. Like
They
no.
said, and I quote, "Whoever beats Goro wins the tournament." But it turns out that Shang Tsung is like, "No, I'm the guy. Doesn't matter." And then Raiden's like, "You can't fight him." And Johnny's like, "Listen, this is called Mortal Kombat, not God Combat. It's for mortals. We can fight whoever we want." And then when he walks away, Raiden goes, "At least one of them understands." I can't do it, Andy. Could you do it for me? There you go.
Here in Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat. Johnny squares off against Goro and punches him square in the nutsack, then runs away
Good move.
up to a high landing, and then just kicks him
Hold
right
on.
off
No,
his
no,
side.
no,
I didn't get that.
No, let's stop. That's how you beat Goro.
Right in the nuts.
Is a fucking dick punch, which I get Johnny Cage has his like dick uppercut thing in the game, but like this is one of the saddest. Oh, it's a PG-13 movie moment where I'm like, they would have never done this otherwise.
No.
Yeah.
No.
But
either way.
Oh, you mentioning the uppercut thing. I also want to shout out earlier in the Scorpion fight when they go to the Shadow Realm, Johnny Cage does his shadow kick. And I fucking popped for that in the theater when I saw that. I was like, that's the fucking shadow kick. You see like his trail behind him.
Yeah.
So sick, dude. So
How did Johnny
cool.
get out of there?
Good question, Bless. Great question. He
Because,
shadow
like,
kicked
Scorpion
back in.
transported him to literally hell.
He shadow kicked back into the forest somehow.
But
And
it
also,
couldn't-
where's this forest on that island? How like these look like totally different biomes. These are
Yep.
different ecosystems.
Yep. Well,
but also-
this is Shang Tsung's island, dude.
It had to still be the island, or else it wouldn't have been part. Like it had to be. They had to fight in the island. He probably just
They
went
were
to
on
a
So you
those
think-
grounds. Yeah.
Do you think
Okay.
Scorpion has like his own den that he prefers to
Oh,
fight
yeah.
in? On
That's
the
the
island?
his home
Like,
crowd,
that's where he
yeah.
transported him.
Now, Kevin,
Home
this is
court
my question
advantage.
for you, and not to disagree with you, but does the fight have to happen on the island
Yes.
in order for it to be an official part of the tournament?
Oh, I see.
Then
what
why
you're saying
didn't
there.
you see
Why
what I'm
does the
saying?
end of it-
They're just playing willy nilly with these
Maybe
rules
That's why
here.
there's another movie.
Maybe it was like you didn't win after all.
I
Let's
don't
see.
remember
So they
at all
fight.
the plot for the next movie.
No, God no. I don't think I've seen the next one, so I'm very excited about this. He beats Goro by knocking him off the side of the cliff, and then he goes, "This is where you fall down." And then Goro, sure enough, falls down. Then Shang Tsung exercises his right to challenge, and he chooses Sonya. Use the element that brings life. Hint, it's water. Shang takes Sonya to the Emperor's castle in the wastelands of Outworld, where Raiden cannot follow. Why? I don't know. Turns out, though, there's one last rule. Sonya, it turns out, has to accept the challenge, which she knows because apparently she spent the whole boat ride reading the rule book and nobody else did. Also in Outworld,
The
if you look
instruction manual where
Yeah.
every word that has a C in it is spelled with a K.
with a K, it's like, God, this is so hard to read. It's like, okay, never mind, it doesn't matter. Also in Outworld, if you look hard enough, you will find another guide. And then he disappears. To which he was like, and then Lou's like, is it Katana? It's Katana, right? Why don't you just fucking tell me what's happening? Why was everyone speaking riddles on this island?
Well, also, like, just the whole premise, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong about this, but the whole premise of Raiden being like, I've seen a vision. It's one of you three.
yeah,
Like,
it's Lou. Just say it's Lou.
but it's like, that's so weird. Like, what type of vision would give him the knowledge that it's one of these three people? Like, you either know who it is
I mean,
I
or
think
what
he
should've
needed
been-
all three
yeah.
to be different people at different times.
Yeah,
I think they
and-
needed to work together.
I wish he had just been like, all three of you will play a part in this.
Then,
Yes.
yes,
Yeah.
that would have made a lot
That's
more
what
sense.
that would have made more sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead, he was like, "It's gonna be one of you. Will it be you?"
No, not you.
It's
No.
like, I don't know.
And
not
give me the
really.
laugh. Give me the laugh.
It's very good.
I can't wait till we do
very good.
Highlander in review.
I'm sad.
Well,
So he's
kinda.
really not in the next one, the Raiden?
Kinda
No,
hope
they
not.
recast him.
Damn.
Not that rated.
No
that sucks.
disrespect. No
Future
disrespect.
spoilers. Future spoilers.
So they head
Um,
off to.
and then yeah, they're in the underworld or the outworld or
They go
the
to
outer
Outworld,
world
yeah.
or whatever. And then I love Johnny Cage here, kind of being the audience of like, why? What are we doing? Why are we out here? We shouldn't. And also, who are these civilians running around? Where are they from? What's their story? Like, we see a sequence where some random people are just kind of scurrying in the little like area. And it's like, who are they? What are they doing? You know?
Outworld.
Are they
man.
trapped here too?
Well, yeah. I mean, they talk about that, right? They say this world is what will happen to your world. So it used to be a different existence when the Emperor came. He destroyed everything and maybe potentially subjugated everyone that lives on the planet. I don't know. I'm reading a lot into this. All I know is the design of this planet is fucking metal as hell. It is dope. And they walk in, and the whole thing is just all roads lead to this giant black tower. And so they're like, cool, that tower is probably where they're being held there. And then Raiden's words are like, you will find a guide when one needs one. I'm like, we don't need one. It's there. He's clearly at the tower. Doesn't matter though, because Lou Spot's reptile grabs him and accidentally throws him in one of the dead bodies. And that makes the real reptile. And the song, I think the song plays again. And he morphs into another cool variant of Scorpion and
an even
Sub-Zero.
better song.
It's a fucking Reptiles theme. It's awesome.
It is
Reptile's
Reptile
really
sing, but how do
cool.
we know it's Reptile? Because the voice goes Reptile. In the weirdest way ever, because that's the voice line of when you would select him. But it was just so stupid to hear
That
Reptile.
voice, Frank Welker.
Oh
Make it
wow!
Oh, wow.
Of course it is.
One of my favorite songs in 2010, Reptiles theme remix by Skrillex.
Fuck yeah!
A jam.
I'm gonna listen to that.
And then
It's-
an
fucking goes
incredible,
hard.
an incredible fight scene begins, and Johnny Cage just what's he doing? Is he outside fucking kicking rocks? What the hell is Johnny Cage doing through all this sequence? It's as if Liu Kang and Reptile also went to a different dimension.
Yeah.
And then when the fight ends, they arrive back, and there's Johnny Cage just kind of walking down this wall.
They know the rules. They can't just intervene, you know?
They know the rules. We don't, but they definitely do.
But I don't
do.
even
They
think
read the
this
book.
is like a sanction. Is it? I don't think this is a real fight. I think it's just a fight that happens. Like,
Andy, there weren't real fights. It was I think it's like we have to kill everyone on your team, you have to kill everyone on your team.
the fight wouldn't have happened if he didn't throw him into a statue.
He made him. It's like Batman.
There's some cool Easter eggs here where during the reptile fight, if you look around the arena they're in, there's like a bunch of symbols on the wall, and it's a bunch of codes for Mortal Kombat 3
Oh, that's cool
for
as
you
hell.
to
that's
input
really
in.
cool.
So yeah,
That's
some
badass.
fun stuff.
I
But
like
this,
that shit.
This reminds me that at one point, this movie is making me understand we need to do Santa Claus in review. Obviously, we need to do
down.
Highlander in review somehow. We need to do Balls
Clearly.
of Fury in review.
Yeah.
Clearly. But one thing
movie.
that I need an excuse to watch this at some point again. It's the Dead or Alive movie by Uwe Boll, which if you guys haven't seen, is one of my favorite fighting video game movie adaptations of all time because of one specific thing. It's the same premise as any of these. You take a bunch of characters, you put them on an island and tell them they have to fucking
Yeah, they
fight.
gotta fight.
The difference is, though, in the Dead or Alive movie, they inject them with something that allows someone like
Their
a
boobs
Kevin
to jiggle a bunch.
allows a nanomachines that allows the Dead or Alive Kevin to pull up computer graphics so there's actual health bars when they
Oh,
fight.
wow.
That's
That's
dope.
amazing.
That's
It's
we
sick
should
as
do that.
fuck. Yeah, definitely.
That's really amazing. But yeah, we get this that cool sequence that Bless was mentioning earlier in the review where I was so worried for Reptile to hit his shins on the way out when he's flipping out of that area. I really thought he was going to clip his shins on the top of the rock as he's flipping out. And you could tell as he's flipping out, he kind of curls his legs so that he doesn't do that. Like the actor kind of knowingly kind of like, oh, I don't want to get hit by this rock as I fly by it.
Hey, man.
Dude, this sequence rules, dude. This whole fight sequence with the music just goes so hard. I loved it.
He of course wins by doing, I assume, his signature move, kicking him through the wall. And then
Signature move. And then and then Katana walks up and says, "You've learned, or you're learning." Learning what? What are the lessons?
To kill,
she
right?
of course, she of course tells him that in the Black Tower he will face 3 challenges. First, you must face your enemy. Then you must face yourself, and then third, you must face your worst fear. And one of those is super easy to overcome. I'll leave it up to you guys when we get to it's yourself. He's like, you got to face yourself. He's like, I have confidence in myself. I'm like, cool. We'll just speed right past that one. We'll get to number 3.
Holy shit, that was
so stupid. How about you got to face 2 things? Up in the tower, apparently they dressed Sonya in her best Tarzan cosplay and chained her to some poles. And Sonya says she won't fight because if she doesn't, she forfeits and the Earth is doomed. And she's like, I disagree. I don't think that's what the rules state at all. And he's like, well, shit, I don't know. But either way, your friends aren't going to come for you. But guess what, Tim? We're already here. And they take off the cool robes and they've been in there the whole time. I'm like, were you guys just waiting for them to chain Sonya to the poles? Like, why not interrupt a little earlier before?
Yeah.
You know, before she can fight, you know, she could help you out with this whole thing. Anyway, Katana interrupts and tells Shang Tsung that the Emperor won't be happy if he wins the tournament by a technicality. So Shang challenges Johnny first, and then Lu's like, come on, dude. We know how this is going to go. And issues a challenge to Shang Tsung that he cannot say no to. And then the song plays again for a third time.
But for some reason, this time felt the best. This time felt the most epic. And I think it's because they actually started from the beginning for the first time. Because every other time, if you watch the movie like from the very beginning, they literally start the song like it's like, and I mean this just for, you know, sake of comedy, Kevin, but it's like Kevin starting a kind of funny intro where it's never going to be quite right. It just kind of starts in the middle sometimes.
Sure.
And that's exactly what happens. It starts like 17 seconds into the song, and it's just like on like the third downbeat. You're just like, all right, I guess. And then the next time they play it, it just already starts in the chorus. This time has the build up so that when it fucking hits, it hits hard. And it hits when we get the spikes coming out of the ground, just like in the fucking game when you get sent down and out. And you just said that the reptile sight was just awesome, and I totally agree. From this moment on from the movie, I'm just like, holy shit, I don't know what you did to earn my attention to this level, but you did it, and I absolutely love how goofy and just dumb this fight scene is.
Those spikes on the ground made zero sense. Like, I was like, who's doing this? Like, who's the person that is like raising these spikes?
Why were they only in the shape of the dragon? Why were there empty spots?
They looked like they were flat too. Like, they didn't look like scary spikes. They looked like paper raising up from the ground.
You know what they look like?
I could have knocked Shang Tsung into the spot where the dragon wasn't, and he would have been okay.
He would have been fine.
You know what they
like
remind me of?
He landed perfectly so that one spike impaled him.
Yeah.
They remind me of the spikes that killed Emilio Estevez in the first Mission Impossible.
Oh, yeah.
Which is super weird.
That's right. Yeah. Anytime I see the pit sort of in game or whatever, I'm just always reminded of when I would draw Mortal Kombat drawings in church, and I would draw, you know, Cyrax just being destroyed by the pit at the bottom with blood and beheaded body and limbs everywhere, and like I'm in church and everybody's like, why are you drawing that? Like, what is wrong with you?
It's Cyrax.
This is
Fucking
what I
weird,
see when I read the
dude.
Bible.
Yeah.
Of course,
Mom, I do Cyrax and Sector, Mom. Like, just weird ass kid in church.
Well, we can speed through this last part, but he starts beating Shang Tsung's ass. So Shang Tsung calls all the souls he's collected to help out, and Katana goes, "Face your enemy." And then a bunch of no-name warriors show up, and Luke beats their asses, and then she goes, "Face yourself." And then Liu tells Shang Tsung, "You can look into my soul, but you don't own it." And then that's pretty much easy. And then Katana goes, "Taste the rainbow." And he's like, "What?"
I knew Nick was going to come with some shit with the third, but that was way better than I expected.
And then, he tastes the rainbow, Nick, and then Sub-Zero comes back and blows ice at his face. He goes, "This is what it's like to eat 5 gum."
Yeah.
Oh man! Of course, he has to. The last thing he has to do is face his brother, and he's like, "Listen, dude, I'm not responsible for your death. Every man is responsible for his own destiny. Chang's death was not my fault, and Chang Tsung killed my brother. Prepare to die." Chang morphs back into Shang Tsung, and Liu orders Shang to free all the souls he's taken and starts slapping him around until he does. And then when Shang won't,
I always get emotional at this part, dude. Like, I knew it was coming in my mind. I remember the music, and I remember this triumphant score with a lady in the background just wailing and just like singing along. It sounds like something that you would see on one of those CD advertisements for like the one that Enya would be on, for example. Like, I feel like she'd be on the soundtrack, and so would this song. And this moment, I don't know why, like I'm tearing up at this part where the brother comes back and he's like, Lou, one day we'll meet again. Like, it gets me every time, dude. It's the music, it's the actor. I think that moment rules. I'm tearing up right now. It's emotional.
I love it. I also really love, we skipped past this, but it's totally fine. I do want to talk for a second about when Art dies and his soul gets pulled in. It's the first time we really see a soul get absorbed.
They had one effect they could use,
but the effect was so funny. Like
so
him
bad.
just kind of getting pulled in, and like it kind of just distorts in a weird, like,
the body swirls in his eyeball.
Way. Yeah.
It was, and you could tell they were like, that effect costs so much money. We can only do it once, and it has to be when he kills Art Lean because he's the only character other than the 3 that we know. He's the only person's name that we know. Let's see. Liu beats his ass with a flurry of strikes and then uses a Hadouken to knock Shang Tsung into the spiked Mortal Kombat logo below. And when he's dead, he looks down at him and says, flawless victory.
Oh fuck!
And it was not
then-
a flawless victory.
It
was
was
not.
not. He got his ass beat quite a
They
bit.
went back
yeah.
and forth.
Also, you know what I really fucking like? What I laugh at every time
When he
dude?
dehydrates into an alien.
No, is the is like as the fight is about to begin, they thought it'd be necessary to for the cameraman to be on top and follow Liu Kang as he runs up the stairs. Like it's such a weirdly long shot of him just like running up and then it's following and he arrives at the top of the stairs. Like it's so stupid, dude. I was like, why did they keep this run up in there? Like,
wait.
just
You're so right. Like that was so awkward.
Yeah.
And it took so long.
It took so long. It's so funny looking, dude.
Of course, Liu tells his brother, one day we will unite, and Liu is like, but not too soon, right? And then he bounces up to heaven, and then Liu locks eyes with Katana and the rest of his friends as yet another dope-ass beat drops, and he says, let's go home. Of course, when they get back to the monastery, Raiden is there to greet them, and Liu says, I guess you knew it would end this way. And then Raiden says, Andy, didn't have a clue. It's so fucking weird. And then everything goes dark and the sky fills with a lightning storm. And then we hear the Emperor go, bow to me, you weak, pathetic fools. I've come for your soul. And then Raiden replies, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. And everyone strikes a pose as the Mortal Kombat song plays for a fourth fucking time.
That got me.
And it could be more of a perfect ending. I don't think so. This is so hype. And granted, so much of this is like freaking 8-year-old Tim watching this, just being like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. But it was limitless potential. It ending with the fucking song, I was like, cool, that secured that song in my head for the next 40 years of my life at least. But on top of that, I'm like, there's going to be more of this fantastic movie. How? How is that possible? How is this fair? What did I do to deserve this? Good for you, Mortal Kombat. Good for you, Paul Anderson.
Yeah,
I'm
the way
Paul
the way that
Anderson.
they use Shao Kahn actually get me hyped for the next movie. I applaud it for, because that was the thing over the course of the movie. I was like, fuck, are we gonna get him? Are we gonna get Shao Kahn? Are they gonna introduce him? Are we gonna introduce him? And at that final shot where you see him as like this fucking giant, I was like, all right, let's go. You got me. You got
Dude,
me.
honestly, Bless, I think it might be the first time that I've ever experienced a movie like this leading into a next movie that is kind of, like an MCU style thing. It blew me away when I was in theaters. I could not I was so fucking hyped up. It was awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Because at this point, we
we'd
been playing MK2, and I think MK3 may have been out by this point. Yeah, just so awesome, dude. I do have on camera. I do want to show off the run up. I'm gonna switch this really, really quick. Here we go. Let me just transition. Is it on? Do you see this?
Please tell me this is MK.
Yeah, we see it.
Or is
Okay, you
this,
see this? No. This is just the run up.
movie.
Yeah, the
This is
run-up.
just
this
the
movie does
run
not
up.
look great as a still.
It's just so funny. Obviously, it's a little bit smaller. Your soul is mine, and he's like, "Well, fucking, I'm gonna get you, or whatever." And then, but the camera just thought it would be a good decision to like.
Follow him the entire run up the stairs. Like, dude, it's so long that it's like you laugh at it because it's funny, but then it just keeps going, and then you laugh at it again. But then it keeps going so long that you're just like, whoa, what
Yeah,
the
they're
fuck?
still filming this.
It's like, you guys could have cut this. Like, you guys
Yeah.
could have cut just him being on top.
It's so good. So
Oh
good.
man, Andy, hit me with a little bit of that haiku in review.
Oh right, I forgot we were doing that, dude. My bad. Hold on one sec. I think I have everything set up.
I mean,
I
you
think I
remember
got
how many
everything.
syllables are in the middle, right?
7 syllables in the middle. You need 5 for the first and last line. If you're not poetic, no need to fret it. Haikus don't need to rhyme. Haiku in review. Haiku in review.
You can go to patreon.com/kindafunny, just like Ignacio Rojas did, to write your review in haiku form. He says, 90s-ness aside, with good fights and close to game, I give it thumbs up. Yasin Bulhan says, the fight's iconic. Liu Kang's hair is amazing. Boys, it has begun. Then we got, of course, miscellaneous coming through with the plot in review. Shang Tsung trickery, tournaments a mystery, flawless victory.
Wow.
It started, I guess. How was Cage's fight the best? This lawless contest. Now the end's in sight. Play the theme song every fight. Liu
Yep.
Kang tests his Might.
That was
good.
great.
Holy
Great.
shit.
And then
That
Nat
was good.
Vu comes in and says, taking a page out of Miscellaneous's book for the Mortal Kombat haiku. So there's a couple here. A battle for Earth. 3 warriors prove their worth. Right on Shang Tsung's turf. Lose bicycle kick. Goro gets punched in the dick. Shang Tsung and his tricks. The
That was
fatality.
great.
You can't win by treachery. Flawless victory. So good. So good.
I don't think we shouted out how they did a good job using each of the characters' signature moves.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
like Johnny Cage got the nut punch in, Liu Kang got his bicycle kick in, Sonya got her leg flip thing. Good job with that.
Scorpion,
It was
Sub-Zero,
cool.
obviously.
I did.
Oh
yes,
yeah, obviously they did that.
Andy, hit it.
Ragu. Bagu. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Rad Guys Talk Bad Guys here for Mortal Kombat in review. Today, I guess we're just going to say it's mostly Shang Tsung and
Shang Tsung.
Goro. And Goro, I'll put Goro
Okay,
in there
yeah,
too.
fair.
Yeah.
Coming in at number 1. So they're going to stay at number 1 until next week's Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Annihilation, that's the
Yeah,
one.
that's how
I
you
also want to
chose to
point
say
out
that.
way early in the movie, a part that I enjoyed is just how unfit I believe to be a cop that Sonya
yeah.
is.
She's a bad officer.
It looks so funny, Bless, when she is breaking into, I think, the boat to look for Shang Tsung. She first busts through that door and she steps in and she goes, and she points her gun like
Oh, it's
in the
bad.
slowest way possible. Like if the dude was on the other side, you're getting shot. But
Yeah,
it's
she
just
was
like
getting murked.
it's her way of busting in. I might even just bring it up right here, but it's just so funny to see. I fucking laughed so hard, dude.
But then
Like-
also, as an officer, it's not your job to enter a death tournament. It's not your job to
You're right.
It's true.
to murder the man that you're after. I got a lot of questions when it comes to Sonya Cage. Now she operates as a police officer because I was not feeling that.
Sonya Blade. No future spoilers.
Yeah.
He said Sonya Cage.
Oh.
Oh, did I say Sonya Cage? Oh, I see.
They
Yeah,
make
yeah.
it work.
Mind blown. Yeah, she's they could have trained her a little bit more in the tactics. But I also like what organization does she work for? Is she LAPD? Is she Interpol? Like what? You know what I mean?
That's a very good question.
What is she, an
In,
FBI
in the
agent?
game, in the latest game, I think she works for the military, but I'm not even sure.
How do they have jurisdiction here? Like I don't know. They're in Hong Kong, for Christ's sake. No, there's no American government agency that has jurisdiction in Hong Kong ever. But whatever.
I love it. So this movie ends, and then Gio's like, okay, so how many more of these movies do we have? And I'm like, okay, so
8.
there's the next one is Annihilation. I was like, it's not good. It's really not good. I was like, but then we have the new one, and hopefully that one's good. It has a chance, whatever. She's like, oh, how many games are there? I was like, oh, the 11th game came out. She's like, there's fucking 11 of these? And I'm like, yeah, yes, there is.
Oh no, I'm looking
They're
at
great.
I'm looking at clips right now from Annihilation. I'm just remembering about one of the
No, don't do
poorest
it.
worded lines of dialogue in movie history. I'm
we
so
won't-
excited, Bless.
Have to wait long for that. We will be reviewing Mortal Kombat Annihilation next week. Of course, ranking it right now. This movie is number 1, which it might maintain till the end. We'll have to wait and see. But we'll be back next week.
so
Mortal Kombat Annihilation. This week, continuing with Godzilla vs Kong, and then next week as well, Finding Nemo. Continuing Pixar in review. Till next time, love you guys. Goodbye.
Get over here.